Hi, I am Kevin Quigley with Tarot Off the Cuff. Nikki Moore describes herself as a kitchen witch who loves peppermint tea and puns. She lives in a small town in New Zealand with her husband, her dog, and a bunch of chickens. She describes life as a magical act.
Hey everyone, so here I am with the Spacious Tarot. I'm going to pick a card to help to inspire a little teaching. So here we go. Okay. So, I love this deck. I've got the Guardian of Cups here, the equivalent of the Queen of Cups. And there are so many cards in this deck that are just like my favorite versions of that particular card, which I think is why I've ended up working with it so much recently. But yeah, I just find it so beautiful. So the Guardian of Cups is such a compassionate card. It's got a very feminine, maternal energy. It's kind of like the ultimate mother of the minor arcana, because we have the ultimate mother of the Empress and the major arcana. So I love the Guardian of Cups, and that it's popped up here because it's really inspiring me to think about compassion, and to think about unconditional positive regard, which is a term that comes from counseling, a school of counseling, in terms of it's a quality that is important to have when it comes to counseling others. And oftentimes, especially nowadays, with tarot, that's essentially what we're doing when we are working with people. I think sometimes it's not quite like that, that sometimes there are situations when you're reading cards for another person and it isn't quite a counseling situation per se. But regardless, whether or not it's a counseling style of reading that perhaps you're doing for another person, or it's more of a predictive type of reading that you're doing for another person, having unconditional positive regard and compassion for that person and their situation is a really important quality to cultivate. I think one of the things about the tarot, and particularly with the minor, the court cards, is that you can kind of look at all of the court cards, all 16 of them, and they can represent like a certain type of personality attribute that is pretty useful to have, and depending on the situation that you're in. So sometimes you want to be more like the King of Wands, or sometimes you want to be more like the Knight of Cups, or like, there's certain situations where having a certain quality of personality is useful. And I think when it comes to working in any kind of helping profession, such as reading for other people, or even if you're reading for yourself, you are being your own helper and your own guide on this journey through life, then embodying the Queen of Cups, and being open to her kind of infinite reserves of compassion, and maternal energy is a really solid kind of place to kind of come from. So I know that sometimes using terms like maternal energy, and even like feminine, kind of like that, those can be kind of words that people aren't very comfortable with. But at the same time, I think that no matter your personal relationship with, say, your own mother, or your personal relationship with femininity, in an external kind of way, in the external world of relationships and identity and all of that kind of stuff, that regardless, there is still scope for a kind of pure, healthy relationship with the internal maternal force, the internal mother, which is just the side of us that that is completely judgmental, sorry, non-judgmental. This is why I love that term, unconditional positive regard, because it's like being the kind of perfect mother in a way. There's nothing that you can do that is necessarily wrong. There is no shaming, there is no blaming. And I think that's a kind of a healthy approach, because there's definitely plenty of things that you're likely to come across, whether that's working with another person or stuff that comes up in your own psyche, that that would be quite easy to be a little bit judgmental about, or biased towards, or whatever. So learning to kind of strip all that back and hold space for a person that's kind of beyond the naming and shaming, beyond the blame, somewhere that is just a space where a person is free to kind of be the total self, and be seen in that way. It can be so powerful just to do that for another person. Sometimes I think that one of the reasons that having a reading, that people who've had readings from me have found it to be such a powerful experience, is just simply because they are being seen. They're being witnessed at a certain level that perhaps that they haven't been seen or been witnessed before. And I think that if it wasn't backed up with a certain amount of compassion and unconditional positive regard, that could be quite a intimidating experience for a person. If you come at a situation and you're able to have this very sharp insight into the nature of a person's reality, their experiences, their past, their future, whatever it happens to be, but it's done without any compassion and it's done without any heart, then that can be a very uncomfortable, sharp experience. Because if someone's just telling it like it is, and they're just laying the facts out on the table, and and this is also comes down to a personal style thing. I know that some people are a lot more swordsy or something. They just are going to spitball the truth, and that's the way it is, and you just got to accept it or suck it up, or just very kind of straight firing from the hip kind of thing. I think that can be done with love. I think it's really worth keeping in mind that if you're reading for another person and you're going to come at them with a whole bunch of truth, that they're vulnerable at that point. And oftentimes as a reader, people are putting a lot of pressure on you, or they're projecting onto you the fact that you're the person with the truth, or you're the person with the wisdom, etc. So I think there is also this responsibility there, again, to be cultivating this sense of compassion for this person and their situation and their context and their history, etc. It is possible to do that without buying into their bullshit. It's possible to be compassionate for somebody and still help them own up to their own stuff. There's specific practices that you can do that I think really help you to connect to the mother of the Queen of Cups, or Guardian of Cups, or Mother of Cups, or whatever it happens to be. Especially if you're a person who doesn't necessarily feel like they tap into their feelings very easily, or maybe the flip side, where you feel extremely compassionate, maybe over compassionate and hypersensitive to other people's emotions, etc. So I'm a real big fan of the Tonglen meditation. It's something that you can look up, but essentially it is a compassion practice. So a compassion practice is really, really good for cultivating this ability to feel compassionate for yourself and for the world. The Tonglen practice itself is about extending your compassionate heart towards both yourself, all the people around you, and the wider world as well. So getting into this kind of regular practice of doing this, it allows you to open up your heart. And having an open heart during these readings for people can be, maybe it's exactly maybe it's the foundation for a really positive, constructive, reconciling style of reading, if that's what you really want to go for, if you really are interested in helping people, then maybe that's something that you might want to look into. Okay, so I'm going to leave that there. I hope that this message was useful for people. Yeah, let me know what you think.
Hey, this is Kevin.
Hi, this is Nooch.
Thanks for watching.
If you like what you saw, please hit a thumbs up and subscribe. You'll know when new ones are coming. And share with your friends.
We'll see you soon.